They split the family restaurant between all my siblings and said, "You're too incompetent." So I opened my own place across the street and put them out of business within 6 months. Help us keep the stories alive. Subscribe today. And please share your location in the comments. It makes our audience feel like one big family. I'll never forget the smell of Mama's peach cobbler wafting through the hospital room 3 days before she died. She squeezed my hand and whispered, "Serena, baby, you got something special. Don't let nobody tell you different." 2 weeks later, I sat in Attorney Mark Graham's office, surrounded by my siblings. My older brother Terrence kept checking his Rolex. Twin sisters Casey and Monique whispered and giggled like we weren't about to hear our dead mother's final wishes. My younger brother DeAndre just stared at his phone, probably texting his girlfriend. "The restaurant, Mama Lou's Soul Kitchen," Mr. Graham began, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses, "will be divided equally among Terrence, Casey, Monique, and DeAndre." My stomach dropped. "Wait, what about me?" Terrence smirked. "Let him finish, Serena." Mr. Graham cleared his throat uncomfortably. "Your mother left you $20,000 in her personal recipe book. However, she included a letter." He handed me a cream-colored envelope. My hands trembled as I opened it. "My dearest Serena," it read, "I love you, but managing a business requires skills you haven't developed. Your siblings have college degrees and business experience. I'm leaving you seed money instead. Use it wisely." The words blurred through my tears. 16 years I'd worked at that restaurant. 16 years of double shifts, covering for my siblings when they had more important things to do. 16 years of perfecting every recipe, learning every supplier, knowing every regular customer by name. "This is bullshit," I whispered. "Language," Casey said, examining her acrylic nails. "Mama knew what she was doing. You barely finished community college, girl. This takes real business sense." Something inside me shattered, then hardened into steel. 3 days after the will reading, Terrence called an official family meeting at the restaurant. Sunday evening after closing, the 5 of us sat in the main dining room where Mama's smiling photo hung on the wall. The scent of fried catfish and collard greens still lingered in the air. "First order of business," Terrence announced, pulling out a leather portfolio. "We're making some changes. The restaurant's been stagnant for years." Stagnant. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "We've been packed every weekend. There's a waiting list for Sunday brunch." DeAndre laughed. "That's exactly the problem, sis. We're leaving money on the table. We need to modernize, increase prices, cut costs." Monique chimed in. "We're thinking of dropping some of the older menu items. Nobody wants oxtails and pig feet anymore. We need to attract a younger, more affluent demographic." My chest tightened. Those dishes are Mama's legacy. People drive from 3 counties away for her oxtails. "We're her legacy," Casey corrected coldly. "Mama's gone. This is our restaurant now. Well, not yours, obviously." I stood up, chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "I worked here since I was 14 years old. I know every recipe by heart. I built relationships with every supplier in the city." Terrence leaned back, fingers steepled. "That's exactly why we want you to stay on. As a line cook. We'll pay you $12 an hour." 12. My voice cracked. I was making 18 as assistant manager. "You're not management anymore," he said simply. "Take it or leave it. And Serena? You're not allowed in the office or near the books. You're too emotional for business decisions." The word hung in the air like a slap. I took the job. I needed the money, and foolishly I thought I could change their minds. For 6 weeks I watched them destroy everything Mama built. They fired Miss Geneva, our 68-year-old hostess who'd been there since the restaurant opened. They replaced her with a 22-year-old Instagram model who couldn't tell collard greens from kale. They computerized ordering, but nobody knew how to use the system. On a packed Saturday night, I watched tickets pile up while my siblings argued in the office. I jumped in, organizing the kitchen, calling out orders, keeping everything running like always. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Terrence stormed in, face red with anger. "Saving your ass," I shot back. "We had 50 orders backed up. I don't remember asking for your help." He grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise. "Your line, cook." That's it. The kitchen staff looked away, embarrassed. These people had worked alongside me for years, but now they saw me as beneath them too. Terrence had made sure of that, constantly reminding everyone that I was just kitchen help now. That night I found Mama's recipe book at home. Inside the front cover she'd written something I'd never noticed before. "Serena, these recipes are more than food. They're love, history, and power. Remember that." I traced her handwriting with my finger. The book contained everything, but it also contained her secret recipes. The ones she'd never written down for the restaurant. The ones she'd only taught me during those early morning sessions when it was just us in the kitchen. My phone buzzed. A text from Casey: "Don't bother coming in tomorrow. You're fired. Terrence says you're insubordinate." I sat in my tiny studio apartment, staring at that text until the words blurred. Fired. From my own family's restaurant. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Mark Graham, the attorney. "Serena, I'm calling because I owe you the truth." His voice was heavy with guilt. "Your mother's will. It wasn't her final version. 3 months before she died, she'd rewritten everything, leaving the restaurant to you. She told me her other children had shown no real interest in the business." My heart stopped. "What are you talking about? Your siblings visited her in the hospital the day before she passed. When I came with the new will for her signature, she was heavily sedated. They told me she'd changed her mind, that she'd decided to split it among all of them instead. I should have questioned it more thoroughly. But Terrence seemed so confident, had such specific legal language prepared. "I failed you and I'm sorry." The phone slipped from my hand. My siblings had manipulated Mama on her deathbed. They'd stolen my inheritance while she was drugged and dying. Rage flooded through me, hot and clarifying. I picked up the phone with shaking hands. "Can we prove it? I have my notes from our meeting about the new will. I have the draft she approved. But Serena, litigation would take years and cost money you don't have. I'm willing to testify if you want to fight this, but the courts generally respect witnessed wills unless there's clear evidence of coercion." I thanked him and hung up. Then I opened my laptop and looked at my bank account. $23,847. The $20,000 from Mama plus what I'd saved. I pulled out the recipe book and flipped through pages of her handwriting, her legacy, my inheritance. The one thing they couldn't take from me. Then I did something crazy. I searched for commercial real estate. The building sat directly across the street from Mama Lou's Soul Kitchen, an old diner that had been vacant for 8 months. The previous owner had died and his kids wanted it gone fast. The real estate agent, Beatrice Joyner, was skeptical when I called. "It needs work," she warned as we walked through the space the next morning. "Plumbing issues, outdated electrical, the kitchen equipment is ancient." I ran my hand along the prep counter. The layout was almost identical to Mama's place, like it was meant to be. Sunlight streamed through grimy windows, and I could see my siblings' restaurant across the street. Terrence was parking his BMW, probably heading in to make more improvements. "The owner's kids want $35,000, Beatrice said. "But between you and me, they'd probably take 28. They just want it off their hands. I'll give you 25,000 cash, close in 2 weeks. Her eyes widened. "That's aggressive." I'm motivated. I met her gaze steadily. Can you make it happen? She made calls while I explored the space. The walk-in cooler still worked. The stove needed replacing, but the ovens were salvageable. I mentally calculated costs. Equipment, permits, licenses, supplies. It would be tight, dangerously tight. One mistake and I'd be broke and homeless. My phone buzzed. Monique had posted on social media. New menu drop at Mama Lou's. Out with the old, in with the bold. Hashtag new generation, hashtag soul food reimagined. The photo showed their new menu. Prices had doubled. Oxtails were gone, replaced by braised short rib with truffle reduction. Fried catfish was now pan-seared sustainable fish with microgreens. Beatrice returned, smiling. They accepted $25,000. We can close next Friday. Let's do it. Walking out, I saw Terrence through Mama Lou's windows, gesturing angrily at staff. A family walked out looking disappointed, probably at the new prices or pretentious menu. Perfect. I spent that night creating a business plan on my laptop, fueled by gas station coffee and pure rage. Every decision my siblings made gave me ammunition. They'd abandoned authenticity for pretension. They'd fired loyal staff. They'd erased Mama's vision. I would do the opposite. First, I called Jerome Williams, our old fry cook they'd fired for not fitting the new image, which really meant he'd questioned their ridiculous truffle oil everything approach. Jerome, it's Serena. I'm opening my own place. You interested? Silence then. Girl, I heard what they did to you. I'm in. When do we start? Next was Miss Geneva. When I reached her, she cried. Baby, I thought I was done. These old bones still know how to seat folks and make them feel welcome. You're not old, Miss Geneva. You're experienced. And I need the best. One by one, I called every person my siblings had fired or disrespected. By midnight, I had a full staff committed. People who understood Mama's vision because they'd lived it. People hungry for vindication. The name came to me at 3 a.m., Lou's Place. Simple, authentic, directly referencing Mama without stealing their trademarked name. I designed a logo on Canva. Nothing fancy, just warm and welcoming. Then I did something strategic. I pulled out Mama's secret recipe book and selected her most legendary dishes, the ones she'd never put on the restaurant menu. Her grandmother's brown gravy that people literally dreamed about. Her special hot sauce recipe that had 3 types of peppers and a secret ingredient nobody could identify. Her peach cobbler that made grown men weep. I would open with a menu that was 100% authentic soul food, priced fairly, using the recipes my siblings didn't even know existed. At dawn, I drove past Mama Lou's. Already I could see the difference. The morning rush that used to wrap around the block was just a handful of people. A "We're hiring" sign hung in the window. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Serena? This is Raymond Patterson. I own Patterson's Produce. Your brother's been late on payments and frankly he's a nightmare to work with. I heard you might be opening something. I'd love to do business with you. Mr. Patterson, you got yourself a deal. One by one our old suppliers were calling. Word was spreading fast. The next 2 weeks blurred together in a frenzy of sawdust, paint fumes, and determination. I hired Tommy Rodriguez, a contractor who'd done work for Mama years ago. When he saw the space, he whistled low. Serena, I'll be straight with you. This is a $15,000 job minimum, and that's with me giving you family rates. My heart sank. I'd budgeted $8,000 for renovations. What if I help? What if my staff helps? Tommy thought for a moment. You serious about getting your hands dirty? Tommy, I've spent 16 years elbow deep in dishwater and fryer oil. Try me. All right. I'll charge you for materials and my time for the technical stuff. electrical, plumbing, gas lines. You and your crew handle demo, painting, cleaning, basic installation. We can get it done for 10,000. Every evening after Tommy left, my team arrived. Jerome stripped old wallpaper while Miss Geneva scrubbed decades of grease from the vent hoods. Malik, our former dishwasher, painted walls a warm butter yellow. Destiny, who'd been Mama's prep cook, organized the walk-in cooler. We worked until midnight, then I'd go home and finalize menus, design flyers, secure permits. I was running on 4 hours of sleep in spite. One night, Casey and Monique walked past, heading to their cars after closing Mama Lou's. They peered through our uncovered windows. I was on a ladder, painting trim, covered in paint and sweat. Casey called out, "Cute little hobby you got there, Serena. Let us know when you're ready to give up and beg for your job back." Their laughter echoed down the street. Miss Geneva put a hand on my shoulder. "Don't let them get to you, baby." "I'm not," I said, dipping my brush back in the paint. "I'm letting them motivate me." The next morning, I filed my business license, permits, and insurance. Everything was legal and proper. Lou's place would open in exactly 3 weeks, the day before Mama Lou's first anniversary under new management. With 1 week until opening, I made a decision that would change everything. I visited Mama's grave at Evergreen Cemetery, bringing fresh flowers and her favorite butterscotch candies. Sitting cross-legged on the grass, I opened her recipe book. "Mama, I need your help," I whispered. "I need people to understand what we're really about." That's when I noticed it, tucked in the back of the book, a loose page I'd somehow missed. It was a letter dated 2 months before she died. "Serena, if you're reading this, then my other children have shown their true colors. I'm not surprised, baby. I saw it coming. That's why I gave you this book and not them. These recipes aren't just food. They're our family's history, going back 5 generations. Your great-great-grandmother was enslaved in Mississippi, and she used these recipes to keep our family's spirit alive when everything else was being taken from us. This is your birthright. Cook with love, baby girl. Cook with pride. And when they try to tear you down, remember, you already have everything you need." Tears streamed down my face. I took a photo of the letter and posted it on social media with a simple caption, "Lou's place opens next week. Authentic soul food cooked with love and history. This is for you, Mama." Within hours, the post went viral. People shared stories of eating at Mama Lou's in the old days, before my siblings took over. Comments poured in. "I drove by last week and didn't even recognize the place. It's lost its soul. They fired Miss Geneva. That woman has been the heart of that place forever. The new menu is overpriced garbage. I can't wait to try Lou's place." My siblings noticed. Terrence called, his voice tight with anger. "Take that post down. You're trying to damage our business." "I'm just telling the truth, Terrence. People have a right to know where the real recipes are. You don't have Mama's recipes. We have them all at the restaurant." "No," I said calmly. "You have the basic versions. I have her secrets. The ones she only taught me." The line went dead. Opening day arrived with August heat that made the asphalt shimmer. We'd been prepping since 4 a.m., smoking meats, simmering gravies, baking cornbread. The restaurant smelled like heaven and history combined. Miss Geneva had decorated with photos of Mama through the years, each one telling a story of dedication and love. At 11 a.m. we unlocked the doors. I'd advertised a soft opening, expecting maybe 20 or 30 people. Instead, the line stretched around the block. People who'd loved Mama's cooking before my siblings ruined it. People who'd seen my viral post. People who believed in second chances and justice. The first customer was Mr. Harold Jenkins, who'd been eating at Mama's place every Sunday for 32 years, until the new management told him he was taking up space during peak hours because he ate slowly. Miss Serena. His eyes were wet as he looked at the menu. You got your mama's oxtails? Yes, sir, Mr. Harold. Made exactly the way she taught me. When I brought his plate, he took one bite and closed his eyes. That's it. That's the taste. Welcome back, Lou. By 2 p.m., we'd served 200 people and run out of 3 menu items. The kitchen was chaos, but it was beautiful chaos. Jerome worked the fryer with precision. Destiny's prep work was flawless. Even Miss Geneva, who'd worried her legs couldn't handle a full shift, was glowing with purpose. Across the street, I could see Mama Lou's through the window. Maybe 10 customers all day. Terence stood outside watching our line with a face like thunder. At 8 p.m. we finally closed, exhausted and exhilarated. We'd made $4,200 in one day, more than I'd dared hope. The team gathered around the prep table and I poured everyone sweet tea. This is just the beginning, I said. They're going to come at us hard now. Are you ready? Born ready, Jerome said, and everyone cheered. My siblings didn't take my success quietly. On Tuesday, health inspectors showed up at Lou's place. I'd expected this. Everything was spotless and properly documented. We passed with flying colors. On Wednesday, someone posted fake negative reviews online, claiming they'd gotten food poisoning. I responded to each one professionally, noting that we kept meticulous records and offered to share them. The fake reviews were quickly identified and removed. On Thursday, Terence tried to poach my staff with double salary offers. Not one person accepted. Miss Serena, Jerome told me. He offered me $25 an hour. I'm staying for my current 15 because this ain't about money. It's about respect. But Friday brought their most vicious move. I arrived at 5 a.m. to find a city inspector with a cease and desist letter. Someone had claimed I was using Mama Lou's proprietary recipes. This is ridiculous, I told Inspector Davis, handing him Mama's original recipe book with her handwritten notes. These recipes have been in my family for generations. My mother taught them to me personally. He examined the book, comparing recipes to what we'd served. Ma'am, these recipes are clearly different from what's being served across the street. I've eaten at both places. Trust me, there's no comparison. This complaint is frivolous. He handed me a dismissal form. You're clear. And off the record, your catfish is incredible. That evening, Casey and Monique came into Lou's place during dinner rush. They sat at a table near the window, loud and disruptive. Is this supposed to be gravy? Casey announced loudly. It tastes like poverty. Monique laughed. Remember when Mama tried to teach Serena to cook? She always messed everything up. Miss Geneva approached their table, her voice warm but firm. Ladies, if you're not here to eat respectfully, I'll have to ask you to leave. You can't kick us out, Casey spat. This is a public establishment. And I'm the hostess, Miss Geneva replied. I can refuse service to anyone being disruptive. Now, are we eating or leaving? They left, making a scene, but our other customers applauded. One woman called out, "Good riddance. Some of us are trying to enjoy real food." Month 2 brought the moment everything changed. A food critic from the state's biggest newspaper, The Chronicle, published a comparison review. The headline read, "Soul Food Showdown, When Corporate Meets Authentic." The article was devastating for my siblings. Mama Lou's Soul Kitchen under new management has lost everything that made it special. The restaurant now serves what can only be described as soul food for people who don't like soul food. Watered down, overpriced, and soulless. Their $38 braised short rib with truffle reduction tastes like an identity crisis on a plate. Meanwhile, across the street, Lou's Place serves authentic soul food that honors its roots. The $14 oxtail plate tastes like it was cooked with love by someone who understands that food is culture, memory, and family. Owner Serena Johnson, daughter of the legendary Louise Mama Lou Johnson, has created something remarkable, a restaurant that feels like coming home. The review included our backstory, how my siblings had pushed me out, how I'd opened Lou's place with Mama's secret recipes. Social media exploded. People started calling it the Soul Food Wars, and we became a symbol of authentic success against corporate greed. Our daily revenue doubled overnight. We went from 200 customers a day to 400. I had to hire more staff, extend hours, and add a second seating for dinner. The wait time on weekends reached 2 hours, but people stayed, happy to wait for real food made with real love. Across the street, Mama Lou's was dying. They'd slashed prices trying to compete, but you can't fake authenticity. Their Yelp rating dropped to 2.5 stars. The "We're hiring" sign became permanent as staff quit regularly. Then DeAndre showed up at my apartment one night looking destroyed. "Serena, can we talk?" I almost slammed the door but saw genuine desperation in his eyes. 5 minutes. "We're bankrupt," he said, voice breaking. "The restaurant's losing $15,000 a month. Terrence took out loans against the property. We can't make payments. The bank's foreclosing in 60 days. And you're telling me this why? Because you were right. About everything. We destroyed what Mama built, and we destroyed it because we didn't respect it, didn't respect you." "I don't want your apology, DeAndre," I said, my voice harder than I'd ever heard it. "You want absolution. There's a difference. Serena, please. We're family." Family. The word tasted bitter. "You stole my inheritance while Mama was dying. You humiliated me in front of people I'd worked with for years. You tried to sabotage my business with fake health complaints. Now you're broke and suddenly I'm family again." He flinched. "I know we were wrong. You don't know anything." I pulled out my phone and showed him Mark Graham's message, the one about Mama's original will. "You manipulated a dying woman. That's not being wrong, DeAndre. That's being evil." His face went pale. I didn't know Terrence did that. He told us Mama changed her mind on her own. And you believed him because it was convenient. Because you wanted the restaurant without putting in the work." I stood up, done with this conversation. "You have 60 days? Good. Use them to figure out what you're going to do with your lives, because Lou's place isn't hiring." After he left, I called my team together at the restaurant. "Mama Lou's Soul Kitchen is closing in 2 months. The bank's foreclosing. I wanted you to hear it from me first." Jerome raised his hand. "Are we buying it?" The question stunned me. "What? You've got the money now, the reputation. That building's got better equipment, more seating. Are we buying it and expanding?" I'd been so focused on survival I hadn't thought about victory. I'd need to see the numbers. Miss Geneva smiled. "Baby, we've all been saving articles about you. You're not just successful, you're profitable. You could buy that building for less than its value, probably get the bank to negotiate since they want it off their books. But that's their restaurant. Mama's original place." "No," Destiny said firmly. "It stopped being Mama's place the day they fired Miss Geneva and started serving that truffle nonsense. You're not taking anything from them. You're rescuing something they abandoned." The idea took root. 2 locations. The original building's historic significance plus Lou's Place's proven success. I could honor Mama's memory properly, restore the original building to its former glory. 3 months later, I stood in the original Mama Lou's Soul Kitchen building, now officially Lou's Place downtown, watching contractors restore the space to its authentic glory. I'd bought it from the bank for $60,000, including all equipment. Combined with a small business loan, I'd turned Mama's legacy into a growing empire. My siblings' final day in the building had been awkward and sad. Terrence couldn't look at me. Casey and Monique cried as they packed up Mama's photos. Photos I'd let them keep because spite had its limits. DeAndre was the only one who apologized again, genuinely this time. "I'm enrolling in culinary school," he told me. "I'm going to learn this the right way. Maybe someday if you ever forgive me I could work for you." "Maybe someday," I'd said non-committally. Some wounds needed time. Now, 6 months after opening Lou's Place, I had 2 thriving restaurants, 15 employees, and a feature in Essence magazine titled From Disinherited to Dynasty: How One Woman Reclaimed Her Mother's Legacy. I'd hired a business manager, Beatrice Joyner's daughter Dana, who'd graduated with an MBA and believed in what we were building. On the anniversary of Mama's death, I hosted a community dinner, free soul food for anyone who'd loved her. Over 500 people came. Mr. Harold Jenkins gave a speech about Mama's kindness. Miss Geneva cried happy tears. Jerome's oxtails earned a standing ovation. I stood outside as the sun set, looking at both my restaurants. My phone buzzed, a message from Mark Graham: "Your mother would be so proud." I thought about Mama's letter, about 5 generations of recipes and resilience, about being called incompetent by people who'd never understood that competence without heart is just efficiency. I'd proven them wrong, not through cruelty but through excellence, not through revenge but through remembering what mattered. "I hope so, Mama," I whispered to the evening sky. "I really hope so." Across the street, the empty building that once tried to erase me now bore a "Coming Soon" sign. Someone else would try to make it in this neighborhood in Mama's long shadow. I wished them luck. There was room for everyone who cooked with love. I'd started this journey angry and hurt. I was ending it grateful and strong. That was its own kind of justice. The best kind, actually. The kind that built something beautiful from something broken. And that, I realized, was the real recipe Mama had left me.